Hello and welcome back to the ministry. And we're talking about why did I get married in a very specific way. I'm dissecting relationship by relationship instead of whole film by whole film. Okay? Right now we are talking about Terry and Diane. So we left off with the fact that Terry and Diane are dealing with the fact of she lied and she did not tell her husband that she had a tooth tied. Now, with this lie, everybody, the females know about it because she done told her girlfriends and the girlfriend ain't gonna say nothing. But the problem that led to the issue is one of the girlfriends was talking and their husband was a narcissist. So when they got to the dining room table, all the dirt came out. When the dirt came out, getting back to them, the man revealed, especially specifically in relation to them, Terry had their child tested to find out if it was his. Another lie. A marriage needs to be built on truth. A marriage needs to be built on truth. And we see a lot of tears in this relationship. He had a DNA test done on their daughter because they had her so fast that he had to question, because of how avoidant she was being about having sex after that, he had to wonder, is there something I need to know? Is there somebody else? Is there something else going on here that I don't know about? Because my wife won't have sex with me. So we had a child, so I got a question. Is she stepping out on the relationship, or has she already done that? You don't want to create scenarios because, as we know, as people, our minds wander. And the devil is always looking to bring doubt into your relationship. If he can bring a wedge in any kind of way, first thing he gonna bring is doubt. Well, maybe. Do you know? But do you know? I mean, shouldn't you at least check? I mean, just to be certain. Then you start to question. And it brings about little foxes that can bring about confusion. This is the perfect example of creating space for the enemy to come into your relationship and destroy it. And then when you allow friends to come in and what they're saying behind your back that you don't know, this is why your marriage is between you and your spouse. It ain't between you and all your friends. You have to have trusted confidants that you open up to. Now, the fact of the matter is, most of the other ones weren't going to say nothing. The problem is they had the one narcissist in the bunch. We're going to get back to him later when we start reviewing that marriage. So, when it comes down to it, now there's the rift. But it comes from a lie that was already placed in the issue. A house divided cannot stand. They put their relationship in very dangerous waters off of a lie and something that was done because the wife thought, my body belongs to me, I'm going to do this. It does not belong to you. When you got married, your body does not belong to you. But the problem is they ended up having a discussion they should have had when they got married. In the middle of their marriage. And that was, she was a career-driven woman, and she knew that she didn't want to have that many children. She knew that she was aspiring to be a particular goal-driven woman. And she thought he understood that. But she figured, I gave him one kid, we good. He gets his child, I get to continue to pursue my career, my goals, my dreams. But she didn't expect that he was going to want more children. 9 times out of 10, you always hear the saying, 2.5 kids. I never understood the 0.5. I guess that's the house, picket fence, and 2.5 kids, meaning the girl, the boy, and the baby. That everybody wants. So, when it came down to it, he wanted his son. He had not had a son yet. So, he wanted another child because he had not had his little boy yet. He was seeing his friends with their kids, and he was like, I want my son too. So they didn't discuss when they got married. And sometimes it's not to say that they may not have discussed it. It may have been the fact of the matter that they thought they could, with time, make differentiations of that plan. It's like we're older, maybe we don't want the same things that we wanted. But in that, y'all did not discuss as things changed, as careers changed, as life changed, as desires changed. You need to continually communicate with your spouse and make sure, well, maybe now I don't feel like I felt like when I first got married. And things are going to change. You cannot always assume that what you had in that very first conversation about your kids before you got married is going to be the same way you're going to feel 5 to 10 years down the line. Life happens. Careers change. Opportunities show up. And with that opportunity, it's like, okay, this new opportunity has shown up in our lives. What are we going to do with it? If your husband gets a major opportunity that means that you're going to have to pack up and leave town in a place that you've been comfortable with because you have a settled home there, are you going to move with your spouse? That's what you do as a married couple. Your husband gets a promotion, you go with your spouse. At the end of the day, you go with your spouse. At the end of the day, you go with your spouse. Your husband wants it, you go with your spouse. Not to say that the things that you want don't matter. It's to say that certain sacrifices you make your spouse's heart a little bit more catering to you. It's like, well, she did pack up everything and come here with me. Maybe I can be kind enough to respect her decisions, but it's a two-way street. Yes, your husband is your leader. Yes, your husband is your provider. Yes, you go where your husband goes, but at the same time, you got to be recognizing of the fact that conversations need to be had. You can't have one conversation at the beginning prior to getting married and then assume that things aren't. People's feelings change, situations change, opportunities change. You need to check in. If I got married and didn't check in with my husband periodically, his mind might be somewhere and my mind might be somewhere. that may be two completely different directions. He's thinking, well, my career is going this way, and I'm thinking, well, this is happening here, but I'm also desiring certain things. If he doesn't know the desires of my heart, and I don't know the things that are bothering him, how can we adjust to that? You understand what I'm saying? Especially when you see the love language, acts of service, quality time. Because Diane's love language is acts of service. So now they have this rift between the two of them. Oh, so you didn't check to see if our child was our child. So now she angry, but does she have the right to truly be angry at him for that? Her actions caused him to do that. Because what? She was not spending the quality time with him to talk. It's like she got married to him and assumed he was always going to be there. So I'm going to go back to doing the things that I did before we got married and no longer pay attention to you. Because why? She's married to her job. She's not married to him. Which brings us to the point of conversation that it's his birthday. And she forgot. Now, ladies, vice versa occur. You know we be tripping, beating them upside the head and be like, how dare you forget my birthday, XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. To be honest with you, I'm not that type of chick. I'm just be quiet. If you didn't remember my birthday, it's a scenario of I actually will let it pass on you. But I bet you I'm not going to say nothing about it next year either. If you don't remember, oh, I guess I wasn't important enough for you to even check the calendar for you to be like, oh, I should probably get her a gift because it's our birthday. Or at least act like I recognize that. I've had people continually forget my birthday. But the best thing is my dad always remembers. If he doesn't buy me anything, he at least remembers to say something on my birthday. Whether I was out of town or not, he would call me and say, happy birthday. So she forgets his birthday. And then she freaks out and goes and let me run and grab a card and something. Intention. As a wife, you need to be intentional. If you like your birthday being celebrated, maybe, just maybe, you need to do something for your spouse's birthday to show him that means something to you. So what you do for him, he will turn around and do for you. Reciprocal relationship. So she forgets his birthday and then comes home and finds him having dinner with the nurse assistant. Now, she already had suspected that because of the distance between the two of them, there was a potential that there was somebody else. So when she comes home and finds the nurse assistant, number one way to piss off your wife, let her walk in the house and see you sitting and having dinner with somebody else. I don't care if it's a friend, a co-worker, or anything. Is it an opposite sex female? And y'all having dinner together. And you didn't know she won't be there. You lit city right then. So that brings up a whole bunch of emotions, which all stems back to what? The one thing that she did. She tied her tubes. Right after having their daughter, which led to suspicion on his part, and now she got suspicion on him because he had the DNA test done. And there's also a level of guilt in there too, if you pay close attention, because she feel guilty and she know, I haven't been being attentive to my spouse. So if I haven't been being attentive to my spouse, we know how the saying goes all the time. If you're not being attentive, who's being attentive? When you leave space, you think the enemy ain't gonna send somebody to take it up. Because what always happens is that the enemy will then send a flavor of their choice. I said this once before. Somebody said, I heard somebody make the comment, in marriage, yeah, if me and my spouse are having argument, I'm going to put him in the other room and we're going to stay in separate bedrooms. He can't leave the house, but we're going to sleep in separate bedrooms. Are you going to open a door for the potential of your husband's eyes to go somewhere else? You put him in another room like he's a dog. Keep putting him on the couch for a month on end or what have you. So her level of guilt is she knows she haven't been tending to her husband like that. She knows she hasn't been spending quality time with her husband like that. So because she knows she hasn't, she's actually having guilt, remorse, because now she's seeing her husband sitting and having dinner with somebody else, and it is actually fear has now crept into the situation where it's like, maybe I wasn't taking care of my spouse. What if there's a potential? The one most dangerous thing that the enemy does is he starts to play scenarios in your mind of how far it could go. It could be nothing there. I remember hearing a comedian say years ago, she said, women, as we know how our minds work, if a man don't show up on time, we start to be like, well, why is he late? A half hour passed. What's wrong? This, that. This is happening too often. You know how our minds work. It could be nobody there. It could just be they're working late. But our minds. And then if we have history about these types of actions occurring, what are we looking at? What are we looking at? Because your mind will start to pull your past into the present. If you have a history of cheating lovers, cheating spouses, cheating people, don't leave the door open for doubt. Why would you leave the door open for doubt to come in and make itself home in your house? Which brings them to their argument. When you get married, you lose the eyes for the individual. It becomes one. It becomes us. And the argument that she had is, I don't want to be a wife that's stuck in the 60s. Oh my God. Did you expect me just to roll over and sleep with you and this, that, and the other? Bake your cakes and do all this. And he's like, Do you know what it is to be a wife? Like, what's wrong with you? You can't get married to somebody and not expect them to want the basics of a wife. Cook them dinner sometimes. Make them a cake on their birthday. Make them a cake just cuz. It don't even have to be a cake. It could be their favorite dinner. It could be their favorite what have you. You know that they exercise every morning. Why don't you get up a little bit earlier than they do? You know what they drink for their exercise mix. Make it so that by the time they come downstairs, oh, it's already made for me. Thank you, honey. Because when you take the attentiveness to do that for them, what you think they're going to do for you? Especially if you got a person that is a gift giver. When you show small efforts, they'll show big ones. It's the little things that matter, especially they ain't never had that in any previous relationship they were in. You're going to get so much just for the little things that you do. But she's screaming at him like, why I gotta step back into the 60s? That's pride and that's control. Which also may question, what childhood trauma did she have? What did she see or not see her parents do that made her become the woman that I gotta hustle, I gotta do this, I gotta. What was the issue between her and her parents? Generational curses or generational issues. When you don't take the time to even address the thing, there may be an issue in her past that she saw her mama do or her daddy do to her mother that would make her feel like I ain't gotta do nothing for you. Or maybe she was raised by a mother that had a different type of attitude towards relationship. So she felt she didn't have to do that. Or vice versa. She saw her mother do all that for the spouse and the spouse disrespected it. But the man she married was not that guy. But that's all an assumption. We never knew. We never saw Diane's parents, nor did we see Terry's. But you can tell by Terry's attitude towards the relationship that he was raised very well by his parents, because of how much he respected his wife. And even with the knowledge that he had, he could have cheated on his wife. He didn't. Because he respected their marriage. But with that conversation, he needed to show her, I may not always be here. Sometimes, a lot of people see that from the perspective of a female. The female will walk out on a man that does not respect her presence, to let him know, hey, if you want me, understand that I may not be here all the time. You see that, but you rarely see a man walk out on a woman that has a good heart walk out on a woman. But the funny thing about it is, good-hearted men usually choose empowered women because they're attracted to that. Whatever they are lacking, they look for that in their partner. This is why you see in a lot of relationships, you see that very good guy with that extremely strong, highly feminism female. Not to say that the gender switch, but we are living in a society that it's implored for high feminism and softer men. And the fact of the matter is, It's not supposed to actually be that way. It's supposed to be a strong man and a feminine woman. And we don't see that very often. Not in today's society with this high feminist movement. And in all actuality, in 95% of the cases, women should be in the household working as well, unless you are married to a man that has a lot of money. But even yet, and still, you need to have preparation in the case. God forbid anything happens to the man, his money, or anything else. It shouldn't be, oh, I'm just here because I'm going to leech off this man's money. You should be sitting there thinking, okay, if I'm here with you, what can I contribute to our household as well? Even though I know that you have the money. Because what if there's a season that you can't work? What if it's a season, let the thing that I'm passionate about also be something that we look into working on as well, because of the fact that you don't want to always just be caring. And I remember I was listening to Anointed Fire years ago, and she was talking about how when you're married, it can pull on a man when he's the only one carrying the house. Now, should a woman have to work? I don't think that she should be in a scenario where if a husband is a working man and he has enough to take care of the two of them, and his desire is to take care of both, let him take care, because it is a man's job to take care of the spouse. But if you're marrying somebody that you know is goal oriented, don't drop them in the house and figure that they're going to stay there and be happy just being the mom and the wife. When you met them, they were going towards their goals. That you should take time out, that when you have time, yes, what are your goals? How can we make sure that you reach some of them? It shouldn't just be one-sided, because you never know. The thing that she's thinking about could be something that become a systematic financial stream of income that you may not use it as your main income, but it supplements. It helps. She feels like she's doing something. But don't make her become the trophy wife and forget. And that was her argument. I don't want to become... I believe her fear more so was losing her drive to be an ambitious career woman. She was more afraid of that than losing her husband. So he put her in a position, I need you to see that I don't have to always be here. And she had to come to the realization she was disrespecting their marriage all this time. And that's just the first film. Of course, they got it together by the end of the film. And she asked him to come home because Patricia told him, do you love this man or do you not? Sit down and write down all the things you love and all the things you hate. If the list of things that you hate is worse, then let it go. But if you love the person and love is more important, I think you need to be Big Little Women and get yourselves together. So she sat down and wrote the list and came to the understanding. I've been wrong all this time and I was doing wrong. Let me check myself. Some of us need to check ourselves. I constantly am checking myself. If somebody give me advice, let me check me first. Some people won't do that. Because let me explain something to you about God. God is always going to make you check you first before He's going to reprimand them for anything. Let's check you first. Let's circumcise your heart and see what's going on in you first before I go to them, because maybe, just maybe, the issue's with you. Okay? So, where we at? And I actually am not done with Diane and Terry, because that was just the first movie. We gotta get to the second one and deal with the next set of problems. I might be able to finish it in the next one, but we're gonna have to see. Hold on, I'm gonna come right back and we're going to start off with the next film and their relationship. Be right back.